Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now, LaurenMaries Taylor, and she played Vickie in Friday the 13th, Part 2. Hey, Vickie, how are you doing? Oh, Lauren, how are you doing?
People do that all the time. When I was on the soap opera, people used to call me Stacy all the time. So I'm used to being called, the only time I worry when somebody calls me by a different name is if my husband at the
Yeah,
wrong
that's
time calls me
that's
a
a good
different name.
point. That's a very good point. This is the
Yeah.
second time that happened to me. The first time was with Alex Vincent, who played Andy Barclay in Child's Play.
Oh my gosh.
Mother
Wow.
Andy. So how you doing, Lauren?
I'm super getting ready for Halloween here. As you can tell by the color of my room. My black cat, I bring her in at night because she's a black cat and I don't want her making any trouble outside. Just, gearing up, doing some conventions and just doing superb today. Thanks. How
That's
about yourself?
awesome. That's awesome. I'm doing great. It's actually funny because the other night, like my dad passed away back in August.
Oh, I'm
He was
sorry.
battling brain cancer for 5 years, and that wasn't even what killed him. He got a blood clot, and it caused a brain bleed in his
Oh,
brain, and I guess and that's how he died. But anyways, so I haven't been sleeping that good lately. Like I've been like when it first happened, it was more of a shock, so I was sleeping good. But I've been now lately, the past week or two, I've been in and out of sleep, and I've been waking up at like 2 in the morning and emotionally eating and all that.
oh.
Anyways, I was up at 2 in the morning. Was it 2 nights ago, and I couldn't sleep, and I'm like, well, let's see what's on TV. So I put on Friday the 13th Part 2 is on, and I'm like, awesome! I know what I'm watching.
That's funny. Well, I'm glad I could, I don't know, help you in the middle of the night there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I absolutely, I love Friday the 13th. That's my favorite franchise. And I've been looking for you actually for a while, just to interview you because same thing was with Kathleen Kinmon. I finally found her, and then I found you as well on Instagram. And I'm like, I have to do this. But I know when you send a message to somebody, it usually goes to that other inbox that's like hidden or whatever sometimes. So that's
Um,
when I end up putting a post on one of your I guess posts that you had recent. And I'm like, I sent you a message and you answered me, and here we are. And I'm so happy and excited to make this happen.
Yay! So am
Yes,
I. Thank you for having me on too. But
not
I
a
love your
problem.
name,
Thank
Slasher
you.
Scotty. I love it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So the first question I got for you is, how did you get your start into acting?
Oh gosh. Well, I was in high school and I was doing high school musicals, not the High School Musical, but high school musicals.
Right.
And one of them was a musical called Oklahoma, and I played the comic relief. And the love interest, who was also my brother's girlfriend at the time, her name was Ali Sheedy, and she had a manager who came to see the show. And after the show, she said, "Hey, Lauren, my manager wants to meet you." So I met the manager. She asked me if what I wanted to be when I grew up. I said a veterinarian. And she goes, "Well, I think you'd be really good in TV commercials." And 3 weeks later, I was doing all of the commercials for a major fast food chain and all their jingles too. For 3 years, I did that.
That's awesome.
So
That's
that's how I
really
got my
cool.
start. Yeah, doing national network commercials.
That's awesome. So what was your audition like for Friday the 13th Part 2?
It was actually pretty easy. The casting director, Marge Simpkin, my cat's lurking under me. Afraid she's going to jump up and knock everything over as per usual, as cats do. So anyway, the casting director had cast me in many commercials. So when she was making the transition to be a casting director for movies, Friday the 13th Part 2 came across her desk, and the description for Vickie was nice, all-American, good girl. And of course, who did she think of? So they called up my agent, said, "Hey, does Lauren want to come in and audition for, a horror movie?" And I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll do it." And went in, read for her and for Steve Miner. And next day they said, "Pack your bags. You're going to be going to camp this fall." And I was like, "Camp in the fall? Really?"
That's awesome. That's awesome. So obviously your death scene, it was kind of off screen, but kind of on screen. It was like a little below the camera. But like, how did they kind of film and prep that scene? And was that your body and feet being dragged down the steps, and who was dragging you?
That's pretty funny. So they prepped it because it wasn't like a big kill, like, the bodies of Jeff and Sandra, Russell Todd's neck, obviously
Yeah.
Tom McBride's the thing in his head, like Janine Taylor in part one, you know, the whole thing similar to that. So they just did like a little minor latex thing on my leg that went underneath those cargo pants. So, and then they would pump blood through that. And, you know, just to show a little bit of blood. And then I had a blood capsule in my mouth that I had to bite down on when the stabbing goes into, it's probably my innards, my heart, my solar plexus, whatever killed me, I don't know. And then, yeah, those were my feet being dragged down, my bloody moccasins being dragged down. I don't know how I got myself into that, but I don't know. But it was Jerry Wallace, who was one of the crew members, who actually popped up out of the bed. And then he was also the one who dragged me gently. Believe it or not, it was very gentle, gently down the steps.
Awesome. So Warrington Gillette or Steve Dash, none of them were like, they didn't do any of your scenes or anything?
No. I mean, they were around, obviously, because the stuntman, I mean, he was kind of like the stuntman to everybody. So he was around a lot, you know, for all those just in case things. And then Warrington was the one who sat in the makeup chair because that was his face. I mean, he really looks like that, telling the truth. Yeah. Well, I hope he does actually. But he's the one who went through all the makeup and all that time consuming makeup.
Yeah. Nice. So do you have any memorable moments or stories while you were filming Friday the 13th Part 2?
Oh gosh, well, it depends on what kind of stories you want to hear. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not like that. No, I wasn't like that at all. No, I mean, well, there were a couple of odd things that happened. I mean, one of the things that I always questioned to Steve Miner, I said, why is she going upstairs to look for the guy in the wheelchair? You know, it's like if she just stayed downstairs and went outside to look for him, maybe she'd still be alive or something. Yeah. So I was being kind of a pain in the neck when it came to stuff like that. I couldn't swim. So that's how I wound up on the beach scene with Stu Charno and Amy and Tom, because I told myself I can't go in the lake, I'll drown, you know, and come back and haunt people years later and drag them down with me. Oh, here's a kitty cat.
It'd be Jessica Voorhees.
Yeah, right. A new one. But then what the crew would do, because we were filming at the camp where we were staying, was another camp just up the hill, right? So we're filming at night, right? Well, we'd be walking back to our cabins at night up this steep hill in the dark, which I was afraid of because I'm a city girl and the city never sleeps. So we're walking in the dark back up to our cabins, and the guys are hiding behind the trees, like snapping twigs and making rustling sounds. And then they would start doing and you know, Kirsten and I, we you know, we'd walk together a lot because we were pretty chummy. Nice. We'd walk together a lot. We'd be like, you know, running, you know, up the hill and just getting beaten ass out of there.
You can curse.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not really a curse, but yeah.
Yeah, that's funny though. And I remember you did mention that in the Crystal Lake Memories documentary, and I was hoping you would tell that story. I think that's hilarious because you're in a horror, you know, doing a horror movie in the woods, you know. I'm guessing it was night, you know, or even during the day it's still creepy, you know, and there's this killer going around. Like, yeah, it's kind of creepy. So that's pretty funny, and that's a typical guy thing to do as well.
Very much so. I mean, even when I was unpacking my bags in the cabin when we first arrived, those guys, everybody got wind of the fact that I was a city girl who didn't get out much, you know, and they would come to the screen and they scratched at the screen window, and I just blacked out. I just went boof down. Ooh, I was so scared. Yeah, I face planted on and crumpled into a pile of Vickiness.
So what was the best part about filming Friday the 13th Part 2, and what was the worst?
Oh gosh. Well, the best part is that I met a lot of really cool people, obviously, and worked with very cool people, but also during our downtime, I really just admired Kirsten Baker and the other girls because they were very in really terrific condition, besides being gorgeous and in good shape. They were really in good condition. I said to Kirsten, I said, how do you keep in such amazing shape? I mean, you know, look at that, you know, the bottom on her, you know, I was just, and all of them, and Amy and everything. And they were just telling me how athletic they were and how they played tennis and they ran and this and that. So I was like, well, I have nothing to do during the day. So I started running,
Right.
and I wound up running and running. I was like Forrest Gump. I just kept running
Right.
and wound up a few years later being one of the top 100 women marathoners in the world.
That's awesome.
So
That's
that's
awesome.
something that really, and I don't really talk about that a whole lot. So you're lucky.
Oh, I guess I am. Well, congratulations for that, because that's amazing. That's really amazing.
Thank you. It's really cool because then later on, when I ran one of the marathons, I said to one of the crew guys at ABC, because it was when I was on the soap opera, I said, hey, Jerry, are you going to be at the start at the New York City Marathon this year? And he goes, yeah, I'm always at the start. I said, well, look at me, I'm number 77, which was my ranking.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, okay, I believe that. Yeah, okay. So I'm up on the bridge and like all the famous runners, I won't name them because you probably don't know who they are, but they were all there. And I'm like, I'm freaking out because I'm right next to them. I'm yelling, Jerry. And he pans the camera over to look and he went, holy shit. And I said, told you. So that was kind of cool. The worst thing, when you want to talk about this, the worst thing were those brown underwears. So ugly.
And the thing that I didn't get about me and my one good friend, Greg Gilbert, he hosts Python Paradise. He's another podcaster. He's a good friend of mine. We always talk about that scene a lot too, because it's like, you're like spraying spray down there and it's like, what?
Yeah. I mean, I would never do something like that anyway, because frankly, I'm going to disclose something here that you're going to freak out. Back in the day when I was much younger, as a joke, a boyfriend and I decided to put, I think it was Scotch on it down there, and it burned like hell.
Oh my God.
It just did. So when Steve Meyer goes, oh, spray a little bit of perfume, I'm like, no, I don't want to spray perfume. And he goes, why not? And I said, let me tell you what happened with my high school boyfriend.
So I know, I can only imagine. And it's a silly scene, but it's like, and the funny thing is, like, she thinks she's going to be getting, sex with, Mark, but funny enough is he's already dead.
Yeah. So it wasn't even worth it. If only she knew he was dead.
Right. And I feel so bad for Mark because he's in a wheelchair and then he died such a gruesome death. And to add insult to injury, he's rolling down those steps. No. And he's about to have sex and he's gone. I felt so bad for that character. And speaking of Mark, he's played by Tom McBride. He passed away sadly. Do you have any memorable stories or anything that you what was it like working with Tom McBride?
Well, we had known each other from the commercial circuit, because he did a lot of TV commercials too. And a lot of times, I don't know why, but we just happened to be paired together on different projects. So it was kind of weird when both of us booked this gig and we see each other and it's like, whoa, what are you doing here? No, what are you doing here? So that was kind of funny, but I would always flirt with him because, let's face it, that's what you do. You see the hot guy that you're paired up with, you flirt with him. And because I knew him, I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere with that. And he would just sit there, with his arms, his beautiful arms. And he would just sit there and look at me and say, Lauren, I said, I know, but a girl can flirt, can't she? So
he was gay, right?
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly cool with that because I speak about it publicly on my podcast. I'm actually gay myself as well. And I had so much admiration for him because back in the 80s, it wasn't as openly accepted as it is now in the 2020s. You know what I mean? It wasn't as accepted back then. So, and he was a model, an actor, and he did amazing in Friday the 13th Part 2 to begin with. I actually, and I don't know how true this is, but in the NES game of Friday the 13th, there's a character named Mark, and I always say it was based after him. I always say that.
Oh, wow.
I always say that. But I wish I could have met or interviewed Tom McBride as well. He seemed like he was a nice guy. And I'm glad that he was able to do this movie because I think this movie is absolutely one of the better films of the franchise. It really is. And it has an amazing cast. Of course. And what is there to be with the movie, especially how good it could be without its director? It was done by Steve Miner. So how was he as a director?
He was very good. He, we had this whole thing going on the set. He and one of the producers, they always had those Izod Lacoste shirts, the ones that have the little alligator on them.
Yep.
So everywhere you look, like on the side of the camera, he would have an alligator, cut out from an ad. Everywhere there were alligators.
Awesome.
So it was kind of the branding of Steve Miner, I guess it is. But it's funny because he was very sweet. He was very nice. But he was also a director. And he was very, he had, a budget, a time frame in which we had the cabins to work in and a bunch of young people. And it's like, he had to get it done. He didn't rush us or get obnoxious or anything like that. But he made sure that we stuck to our schedule and did our work. Yeah. Absolutely. And everybody was always around on set. I mean, the crew was, it's not like crews now where there are just hundreds of people. It was bare bones, we had one makeup artist, a couple of prop guys, grips, the sound guy, just very 1980s, very simple. And even if we weren't filming a scene, or even if you weren't needed, if it was somebody who wasn't needed that day, like a hair person, if you're just lying in bed dead, they don't need hair or makeup on you. They would come and hang out anyway, because we were all staying there. So I have pictures of just the crew hanging around Packanack Lodge, just sitting around trying to stay warm.
So when you first saw the script of the movie, when you first got the script, what were your initial thoughts of this film?
Oh, well, it's weird because simultaneous with that, they had a showing of part one, which was not part one. It was just Friday the 13th.
Right.
So I remember going home to my my mother and I said, I wonder if they really kill people. And she goes, what? That's not legal. And I said, but what if this is a snuff film? So when I got my script, of course, I'm looking through and going, how do I die? How do I die? How do I survive this? Because I was freaking out. That's why all the noises at the camp that the guys were doing to us, I'm thinking in my head, what if they decide, you know what, let's really kill them. Nobody will miss them.
Right. Yeah, right.
And also the movie was called Jason on the cover of our script.
Oh, nice.
Jason.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So this obviously is the second movie. It's the first sequel, and there was no franchise at the time. I mean, did you guys think this would be something that everybody would be talking about 30, 40 years later?
Oh no, not in a million years. It just wasn't one of those things. It was It was to most of us. It was just a gig. It was just a job. I imagine people from maybe part 3 or maybe even later probably think, oh, we're part of this franchise. How cool is that? But we had absolutely no idea. We just thought, we're doing a gig. Oh, here comes the other cat. Then I've got 2 cats in here.
When I interviewed Stu Charno, he said that he did it because of the money, and he said it wasn't because I didn't love the franchise. He said, but it wasn't a franchise.
Yeah,
it really wasn't a franchise. It was a job. I needed to pay, make money. I needed to live. I needed to eat. I needed to, support my family. So, I was doing a job. I'm an actor, and I'm like, I respect that. I mean, what was there to love? There wasn't even a Jason until this movie, and I mean, it wasn't even a hockey mask Jason yet.
Yeah, it was. I actually have a sack back here.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
And put it on,
That's so awesome. That is so awesome.
But it's true. You mentioned earlier about how I booked the gig and all that stuff. I was doing very well out of the gates with doing the national commercials. Awesome. So when I booked the gig, of course, I had the same manager. I had to book out of my commercial life for that 6 weeks amount of time. And there's one scene in the beginning of the movie where everybody's running. And the reason why I'm not in that scene is because I had to go back to New York City, film a commercial, and then come back to the camp.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Oh my God. So there's this controversy as to who the real Jason Voorhees is in this film. Steve Nash, Warrington Gillette. Which one did the bulk of the work? Which one is the Jason Voorhees? In your opinion, who do you believe is the true Jason?
Oh boy, am I going to get in trouble with people here? Oh no. Okay, here's my disclaimer. No, I'm just kidding. I will say, because I was there when he was being fitted with the latex face. I was there when he was doing the makeup. I've got my photo album over here too. I took my own, actually I posted one on Instagram today from my own camera. I posted pictures of the makeup process. And I think because of that, because of the makeup process, because it's his face that they form it from,
Right.
you know, from Warrington's face, and they just, you know, warp pieces of it. Because of that, to me, Warrington is my Jason.
Awesome.
Steve Dash, of course, you know, he's a stuntman, and a lot of other Jasons were stuntmen too, because they have to do so much physical work. So I think after part 2, they realized, hey, we can't have a guy who is not a certified in the union stunt guy doing this stuff, because they're going to get hurt.
Exactly.
And so I think, hi Luna, it's one of the cats. I think part 2 changed that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very, very good point as well. Oh, she is so cute.
She is. She's chunk.
She is. Oh, she's so adorable. I love her. I love her.
Oh, she's scratching. That wasn't Dash. She was scratching. Yeah, it's actually, that's my daughter's cat. Her boyfriend is a little pixie cat. So,
that is so cute. So the last question I got for you is, do you have any other projects in the works, or social media accounts or websites that you would like to plug to the listening and viewing audiences, as well as any convention appearances that you have coming up?
Well, I actually do have a big project coming up, but my lips are sealed at the moment. Is
it a film project?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Look at me looking so secretive, like a cat or something like that. No, it's not. It's another project, and you'll be one of the first to know about it.
Okay.
But it's in process right now. And it's just in process, and it's exciting.
Nice. Just let me know what it is, and I will promote it whenever you want me to promote it. And of course, you can promote any of your social media as well, where people can find out about it too then.
I'm just Lauren Marie Taylor with the number 1 behind it on Instagram. I have a Facebook account, but I never go on Facebook because I don't know. I forgot my password. But seriously, I mostly go on Instagram and post stuff, and any announcements. Sorry, cat.
Oh, so cute.
Like having a baby. Ow, now it's sitting on me and I'm wearing shorts. So yeah, people can find me on Instagram, and that's when I'll announce the project that's coming up. Yeah.
Awesome. I will definitely promote it.
Yeah, and I'm going to Las Vegas to Days of the Dead. So if they want to go to the Days of the Dead website, it'll show upcoming appearances, because I think I have one in October coming up, and it hasn't been, the next one hasn't been announced yet. So, but they can always go, and I usually post it in my in my profile section of Instagram. But
absolutely. So definitely check out Lauren's Instagram, and when you check that out, you can see anything that she has coming up and what's going on. And of course, you can come to my my social media as well, and I will promote anything that Lauren's got going on, because I am like a huge fan of yours. So I'm like really excited about what this product is. I can't wait to see what it is.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been about 6 months in my brain in the making. But now I actually finally sat down and planned it, like the final plan for it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan. I can't wait to see this. But I thank you so much, Lauren, for joining me. This has been truly an honor for me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You're really good and you're really nice. And
thank you. Well, thank you very much. I truly appreciate that. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.